Okay, so I was busy minding my own business. So when one of y'all come into my Instagram DM and like, hey Cletus, what are your thoughts about Fikile Mbalula's speech in Pomalanga, where apparently they had some sort of a gathering in Pomalanga? And then I was like, okay, fine, let me go check it out because I am trying to relax these days on the weekend so I can recuperate with all the stuff that is going on in South Africa, my mental health. Yeah, it's questionable, I must add. So I then went and checked out the replays. And then I listened. But I could not help but notice in the background, I mean, those media walls, whatever it is that they call them. And one of the things that I noticed there is the word renewal. You know, when you see the word renewal in a political party, I don't know, strategy, it means they are in trouble and they acknowledge that they're in trouble. And therefore, it is time to renew. Now, that usually in politics, it's a goner. You are gone. Ask Congress of the People. They'll tell you. I come from there. And anyways, other political parties as well that had the renewal as part of their strategy to renew the party. Where are they today? Yeah, they are kind of like goners. Now, for me, I couldn't help but just imagine ANC. How old is the ANC again this year? So let me do it the math lit way. Enji Mutaka, you should be proud of me when I do this math. So 1912 to 2012, that'll be 100 years, right? And then 2012 to 2022, that would be 110 years, right? And then 2003, 2004, 113 years. How did I do, Miss Angie Muteka? How did I do? Oh, okay. Thank you. I get a gold star. Thank you. I see they're still coming. Anyways, so I couldn't help but imagine this 113-year-old lady going to some doctor in Turkey to get Botox just to look young, and yet her vitals are dying because of age. That is what I was seeing. And I couldn't help but feel so sorry for the ANC. I'm like, man, you are indeed the oldest liberation movement on the African continent. And now you are about to be extinct. But the very people, by the way, that were sitting in that gathering, because none of them seem to be inspired. You know, the usual ANC meetings, it doesn't matter who is on the stage. Every single word they speak, they'll be punching the air and going viva and clapping hands and standing ovations. These guys were like, when are you finishing? That's how they looked like. It was a sad state of visions, or vision. What's the word? Visuals. I'm still on a holiday, guys. Anyways, let's go with my thoughts then of what I picked up. I think I picked up about five things that were said by Fikile and Balula, and most of them they typically ANC. Don't blame us, blame somebody else. And yet, the very same people that are sitting in there nodding their heads with all the nonsense that was being spewed by Fikile and Balula, they were the ones that were delegates. Yeah, they were delegates to the ANC conferences where policies on employment were put together. And as we speak, there are companies and more companies that are investing in South Africa, and some are South African companies are busy retrenching South Africans. And then he speaks about almost as if the Arab Spring, a version of it in South Africa, is averted. And yet, South Africans are getting retrenched from these companies that are packing their bags and going because of your policies, ANC. And then you're like, oh, the jobs are not the challenge of the ANC. I'm like, sir, were you not the ones that were in your policy conferences and you put together these very policies that are making these companies pack their bags and leaving the country, with South Africans looking dumbfounded. Some of whom, by the way, contributed to this. Yeah. And I do want to touch on unions. Yeah, what Nkatlam Kwanazi said the other time, in as much I felt, okay, that one is not yours, but did he lie though? Did he lie? I don't think he did. Because if you went to these companies that are busy packing up their bags and leaving, one of the complaints is going to be the unions. One of the complaints is that we can no longer do this with this sort of behavior and attitude by the unions. But that video is coming on its own because we need to tell the truth once and for all. I mean, this is the same truth I used to tell a neighbor of mine who used to work at SAA pre Kororo. If you know what Kororo is, 2020. So this conversation it happened, I think, around 2017, 2018. And I had said to my neighbor, who was a staunch, I think he was part of Satao or Nehao, one of the two. And they were on strike in one point, and I'm like, how do you think this is going to turn out for you? It's like, no, we are fighting for our rights. I'm like, no, you mean the Labor Relation Act does give you those rights, including the Constitution. But at the end of the day, you are the one with your hand out like this because you are dependent on this job and you are dependent on the performance of the economy as well as SAA survival because at that time it was no longer dwindling. It was on a thread. You know that in Nakuzano, what do you call this? Yeah, a thread. That's what it was hanging by. And it was just a matter of it going Zumpu and then happened Kororo. And just before Kororo happened, he was one of the people that were let gone. He was devastated. He had to move back to KwaZulu Natal to his mother's house. He came to me before he left and said, "You were right." And I'm like, sometimes we listen to people we think we should be believing and trusting, only to find out they're actually killing our future. Anyways, like I said, that video is coming on its own. Then the other thing that I came to note about this so-called speech, him apologizing to Patrice Motsepe. I mean, the way he came down at Patrice Motsepe when he showed an interest in becoming the president of the ANC, he said it's not an ANC, da 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 da. And now, because Lutuli House is in need of about 90 million rand, because their accounts have been attached, probably the entire building is gone to the creditor that they are owing 90 million rand to. So, as the SG, remember the SG of a political party is the CEO of the party. So, they are the engine. So, if Patrice Mutsipa feels like, well, if the engine of this political party is going to do me dirty like this, I'm just gonna look away. And then there are people who came to him, I believe, when the sheriff started attaching, they were like, hey, you better apologize to Matip. I mean, he's a billionaire. This could go like this if we just go and say, hey bro, listen, we are losing Lutuli House. People's paychecks are not going to be paid at the end of October, blah, 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 blah. And then he will sign that check and their problems are over. So that is why he is apologizing. Do you think he means it? No, he's groveling. And then the people in there, no, he's making a fool out of you guys. But again, it's the ANC. So I thought that was quite interesting. That was very interesting. But I must also express my sense of disappointment in Patrice Motsepe for wanting to stand as a president. Hi, sir. Have you not been reading the room? Do you think South Africans will trust another billionaire to be the president of this country? Guy, please read the room. But I still like you. I think you are a great person in the endeavors you are in, soccer and your business. But just keep away, especially the ANC. It's going to render you irrelevant just like that. South Africans are done with it. So the last thing that you want is associate your name and all these accolades that you have accrued over the years. Don't do it. It's just my piece of advice. I don't know. So let's look at what the other stuff that really caught my attention. Okay, what else that was said then in that okay, the Arab Spring, I think I already talked about it. Yeah. So basically I think those are the things that I picked up in this so-called address by Fikile and Mbalula. Of course, he said other things as well that just left me giggling. To be honest with you, I always failed to understand the logic of Mbalula. He is like Senzo Mchunu, and he's also like what's his name, Shadrach Sibia. You literally have to listen attentively and then start picking whatever you can. You know this thing spotting. Those of y'all who used to be in university in the 90s to about 2007 ish. Remember spotting? Yeah, the stuff that made students at university to fail because they assume they just say a word and they think the question is about that because they already studied it and they know what the question is. And then it turns out that you get a zero because the context was so different. Yeah, that is what you need to do when you are listening to Mbalula. You have to spot. Oh, okay, I got that. I think because I spotted that word, maybe this is what he's actually trying to say. That is not life. That is not life, people. I understand they are politicians, and as politicians, their job or the art. Remember, politics is an art, in case you did not know. It's an art of navigating the people. So, in most cases, you have to lie to the people. And to be a liar, you have to be good at it, but in South Africa, these guys they forget their own lie. Because in order for you to remember a lie, if irrespective of how many times it is repeated, you first have to convince yourself that this is the truth that you are telling. Hey guys, who else has this feeling of 2016 right now in the ANC? Even though they are going through financial issues, but I think somebody may be funding a PR company, particularly around Cyril Ramaphosa. Anybody having that same feeling as I do? I've been having this feeling for some time now because Bell Pottinger failed Jacob Zuma. Because a year after that, Jacob Zuma was abdicated by the people. Remember, Zuma must go, Zuma must go. I don't know how the thing goes. Zuma must. You remember that? But why are we not singing the same songs for this gentleman who is an ultimate failure? Not only an ultimate failure, but also a danger to our democracy, Cyril Ramaphosa. I'm not hearing that, but I am seeing content creators. Some are making that call, but it's just content creators, right? Because that's how I think South Africans haven't. It hasn't sunk in yet. Because I do see some people will mock content creators, YouTubers. Hey, look at the world right now, especially the world of politics. Look at the world. It's just that it's happening a lot in the northern hemisphere. And I hate it that every time we have to take leave from them, we don't lead. But I will tell you something. A lot of us were already on this since back in 2014, 2015 on social media. I believe that it's them who came and realized that no, people on social media are powerful. That is why you are hearing what's his name, Sibia saying, yeah, Mkwanazi has a powerful social media behind it. And then I thought it was just he was gonna say that comes Senzo Mchunu naye. He's giving credit to social media. So if you are going to think that social media people are something to, you are so wrong. You are so wrong. Those voices, they are very, very important. As a matter of fact, when a narrative is being swayed, they bring it back to the truth. Every time they try to sway it, they bring it back to the truth. And I am glad that there are people that are beginning to see this, but a lot still don't. You see it in our comment sections when they mock us, and you're like, oh gosh. But it's fine. What the matter is, in future or eventually, you will be the one that comes back and will be like, you are right. Oh, Clentus, you are right. Oh, you are right. Clentus, you are right. Or whoever else that is doing current affairs in South Africa right now, and you are busy mocking them or being rude towards them, because probably you would have seen in the Northern Hemisphere, they are busy holding politicians accountable. Yeah, social media. YouTube in particular, of course, and TikTok. I'm just letting you know that you are a little bit behind, and if you are not subscribing to YouTube channels that speak on current affairs, I can continue with those other ones. You know, those other ones that lie to you. Yeah, go continue with them, and you'll be misled and you'll be left behind. Anyways, guys, I thought let me come and voice my two IQs of what I heard, because nothing that that man was saying, Fikile Mbalula, supporting the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, of course, duh, he has to do it because the country now is awake. And oh yeah, the gaslighting as well that he threw at South Africans, that the president said he doesn't know Maumela. And he's the same person that is linked to Maumela, you guys are saying. He signed the proclamation for the SIU to do the investigations. And I'm thinking, has he ever heard of public pressure before? Has he ever heard of it? Of course, it's going to make a fool out of those people. Oh, and the last thing that I also noticed in that tent is that the ANC, it's still pretty much old age. The majority of the people that were there, old men and women, youth, qua qua. You literally had to look for them like, where are young people? Because young people, they don't like y'all. And I did say this before. The Gen Z, the Alpha Gen or Gen Alpha, millennials, you some of them were in there, but a lot of millennials, they are saying, well, you can go to the deepest and the pittest and the basements of hell and throw yourself there. But the Gen Zs, they're the ones that are the largest population in South Africa right now, and ANC is toodaloo to you. Anyways, let me leave it here. Please like the video. Thank you. Goodbye.